This weekend, I've got 5 or 6 things lined up, questions that I have. Why in the heck are the hockey players beating the hell out of each other during an All-Star game? Were there beefs before, or they just decided is this basically we're mad at each other? It's like Kendrick Lamar and he just getting after it with Drake. I mean, what's going on in the hockey? Why are they beating the hell out of each other in an All-Star game? Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's basketball season. The All-Star break is behind us. Pitchers and catchers are showing up. Europe, they're playing soccer every day, so a lot to get to. Of course, the draft right around the corner. Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. If you're betting on sports, this is the most important hour of your day, as it says in the intros. We will help you not only start turning a profit betting on the games, but really give you the tools to consistently make money betting on sports, which, as most of you have found out over the years, is very difficult to do. So let me bring in from Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I am good. It is very difficult for those who can't get out of their own way. And I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles in people either signing up or consistently being a smart sports bettor. They think they can win the lottery on parlays or anything, whatever, and they're just peeing money away.
Yeah, or I think most likely what happens is they just don't connect winning with betting.
Hmm.
I think they go into it not winning is not the number one goal. When people start betting on sports, and it's because it was developed or built in casinos where the odds are against you if you're playing any of the games. So if you're in the casino playing roulette or playing craps or whatever, you go in with the acknowledgement that I'm probably not going to win. And so I think what's happened is a lot of people that don't sign up, or they just consistently lose money day after day. We've talked about egos and that getting in the way, and that absolutely is a thing. People believe it because they played sports, they're going to be good at betting on sports. That's absolutely not the truth, not the case. But what I just don't think they equate winning to gambling, because they don't do it in any other part of the casino. The good news is that we're able to do that. I'm able to do that consistently, get people on the right side of games. And more importantly, setting realistic expectations is a key to that. And we do that right here on the show. So if you've tuned into this show, maybe you're passing through one of the many cities around the country that we're on for the first time, welcome. And hopefully you're going to get some information that's going to kind of recalibrate where your expectations are when you're betting on sports, because you can certainly have a higher expectations of win and of success in sports betting, certainly with me, than you would doing anything else in the casino, as
Hmm.
we're going to make money year after year, and frankly, week after week most of the time. Not every single week, not every single day, but over the long run, we're going to help you turn a profit. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up there, get connected, look at the results tab, and you'll see every game that we release to all the clients, and you're going to see that over the long run, you're building profit. Let's talk about last week, and then we'll get into this week. Talk about definitely going to hit on soccer a little bit without getting too detailed, because I don't know about the details, don't care about the details, but I do love the money.
The profit's the important part.
The only thing that matters to me. And guys signing up weekly now for the soccer package are seeing that exact same thing. Soccer 5, we'll start there. It's easy. A 5-1 last week. Had 3 underdogs in there, maybe 4. Had one plus 185, plus 150. Another one that was had one loss over the weekend, and so turn another 5 or 6 games of profit. Big weekend, but basically a typical weekend. Soccer's doing that consistently. I do have a weekend soccer package going this weekend. I don't do that. I haven't done that before because I'm just not comfortable with getting people in a sport that I'm not handicapping, A, and B, that they're probably not familiar with, and then getting them in for one weekend. Because if things go bad over one weekend, you're going to blame me, you're going to blame the sport, you're going to blame things that you don't know. And that's not the intention of getting you in soccer in February, is to upset you or make $200 or whatever. But at this point, I'm getting a lot of people that I can tell are probably on the fence, because they're like, I don't want to invest $500-600, even though you get 8 weeks of soccer. It's like $50, $60 a week for soccer,
Right.
and that's through March. Go longer, it's even less. It go through the English Premier League finals in May. You're getting it for about $30 a week. It's very inexpensive when you look at those longer term packages. But still, guys are on the fence. They're like, I don't know. So I'm offering the weekend package, $199 or less, depending on when you're hearing the show. Going to get you just this weekend. The only reason I jumped the fence, decided to do that, is because it's been consistently making money every week. So it's not like we're having losing weight. It's like 9 out of every 10 weeks over the last year. There just are so few losing weeks in soccer that I thought, you know what? Those guys that are sitting out there on the fence, let's get them in. A couple $100, they can try it for the week. It's more than you're going to pay if you go long term. You should absolutely go through at least March or May, even if you don't want to go through next year's Super Bowl, which is the best bet, the best deal. If you don't want to do that, at least get through the weekend, March or May, to save a lot of money on what you're paying for the place and consistently build profit. If we break even this week or happen to have a losing week, that is not indicative of how these guys are at soccer. It's been incredibly profitable, and I want as many people on that as possible for as least amount of money as possible. So go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up for that. The reason that's important, and you see the desperation in my voice, is because we had a week last week in basketball that we're going to have some, but I will tell you, Brandon, I have not had many like that week.
This year, yeah. This weekend was an anomaly compared to what the rest of the season has been. Just some terrible beats late.
And it's not just the week. It's not like we lost $1 million. It's not. That's not really the point. It's all sports are different, and football is. I always say this: football is like betting in the stock market. All right, you get on Intel or one of these companies and you ride them up slowly, up, and you make money over the course of the season. You'll have little dips, but it'll then go up. All right, the S&P is a better example, but basically up, and then a little dip, and then up. Basketball is more like options trading. All right, so you're going to have a lot more volatility. You're going to have higher swings, and those swings are determined by the variance in the games and versus the line. So you have so many more games in basketball that come down close to the number. And so what I do, how we mitigate that, is I say, okay, we'll bet half on the basketball. We've been doing this for 25 years. We make about 50 to 60 games of profit a year. We're winning again this year. On a daily basis or weekly basis, I always tell my clients, and was what I do myself, I bet half on basketball what I do on football. And that's because you're going to have some of these stretches during the year where you're on the wrong side of every close game. You're going to have close games during the course of the week. Let's say it's 40%, 30% is a good number, 30% of close games. On a normal week, those are going to even out. So you're going to have some free throws that go in late. You're going to have some dribble offs that go in late. Things will happen. A meaningless three at the end will help you. It'll hurt you. Let's say that's 30% of your games. Of the 70% of the other games, and by the way, there's a large volume of basketball plays that go out normally on a normal week. Of those other 70%, we're going to hit 70% of those games. So we're going to build that profit by breaking even with the close ones that come down on the number. We're going to win the majority of the ones that aren't close. We're going to have a few bad picks. That's the formula for making money in basketball. Now, the great news is some of those weeks where those 25 to 30%, whatever it is, games that are close, we're going to have last week, we had, I want to say, 10 losses. 6 or 7 of those came down in the last 8 seconds of the game. We did have one of the games that we had an under that went into overtime and went over in overtime. So that's obviously bad beat.
They don't call it undertime.
They don't call it undertime. 6 different games of the 10 were decided in the last, think about it, 8 seconds of the game. And most of those had nothing to do with the outcome of the game, the wins and losses. They simply determined the winner versus the spread. So, and I haven't told you how I did on that because I'm going to circle back to that. But on most, if that's a typical week and we have 10 losses and 6 or 7 of them are close to the number, let's just say half. Half of the ones we're going to win, half the ones we're going to lose. Well, that's 6 more games that we'll win over the course of that week. Take away 3 losses, add 3 wins. That's a typical week. Some of those weeks, if we have 10 losses and 6 or 7 come down the line, we're going to win 5 or 6 of those. So those are the weeks you'll hear me on here bragging and saying, hey, we were 14-2 last week. We were 17-3 last week. We'll have a bunch of those throughout the course of the year. So those are going to create huge profit, and people who are betting half on the basketball they do in the football will say, why are we doing that? Why aren't we betting double? We should be betting triple. The reason we bet half is because of weeks like last week. We had 10 losses. 6 of them came down within the last 8 seconds or the one overtime that went over and overtime we had under. Every single one of them lost. Every one. We did not have one game that was close that we won. Again, those will happen. What those do is those turn either great weeks into bad weeks, or those middle games turn great weeks into just good weeks. Well, this last week, it turned it into a losing week. Now, was it Did we go 0-10? No. No, we didn't. We had a bunch of wins that were nowhere near the number. We had a few losses that were nowhere near the number. I want to say, well, three or four. So, but a lot of wins. So we lost 3 or 4 games last week, but at half you only lose 2. If you bet the soccer, you went 5-1. If you bet the UFC, you won money. So overall, the lesson is still the same. Get all the picks, you're going to make money. Get most of the picks, you're going to make. You're definitely most time going to make money. Get some of the picks, you're probably going to make money. If you're not in any sport long term, you might make money. You probably will, but you might. You're lowering your chances to win the fewer sports you're getting, and more importantly, the fewer weeks during the course of the year you're getting, which leads me to my only point in this segment, which is sign up at fatjacksports.com for all the picks all year long, and you're going to make money. We're consistent in this, Brandon. I'm not saying you might make money. You're going to make money. If you sign up through next year's Super Bowl, you're going to win. We get all the picks. You're going to win. That you're going to be a winning sports bettor. So get signed up at fatjacksports.com. Thoughts about last week, Brandon? You All-Star game? Like, didn't like? What's up there?
I generally abstain from the All-Star game, and I really have for about the better part of the last decade. It's just not entertaining. I do appreciate them trying a different format because we've seen that in other leagues be a little bit more of a watchable product. The NHL going to the Four Nations Cup is phenomenal. And even in previous years when they've had the divisions go against each other, I think that's been fun. The weekend itself needs stars. Like, we need to see Ja Morant in the slam dunk contest. We need to see, Steph Curry in the 3-point contest. They keep, I don't know if they need to incentivize these guys to try a little better, but yeah, I totally avoided the NBA All-Star game. There was a lot of college basketball, some hockey, some NASCAR. I mean, the Daytona 500 was going on. I was thoroughly entertained by everything other than the NBA last week.
Normally, this is a show that we have tough time getting through a lot of content because
there's not 17 football games.
Hard to talk about weekend. The basketball is not relevant unless you're talking about season-long stuff or trends or whatever. So it's harder because the show runs on the weekend, tapes before the weekend to get around the country. This weekend, I've got 5 or 6 things lined up, questions that I have. Why in the heck are the hockey players beating the hell out of each other during an All-Star game? Were there beefs before, or they just decided is this basically we're mad at each other? It's like Kendrick Lamar and he just getting after it with Drake. I mean, what's going on in the hockey? Why are they beating the hell at each other in an All-Star game?
3 fights in the first 9 seconds. But it was USA Canada. This actually goes back to the last time that they had an international competition like this, to where there was fisticuffs. So it was sort of like a decade-old unresolved issue for things that happened when these guys were like in middle school. But
Did it start online? Did they talk in the locker room?
This was
smack going out there. Or just, you know what? It's All-Star time. Let's just get out.
This is one of those like understood things among hockey people, that when you have a grudge, it builds, and then there comes a point where everything pops off, and it just happened to be the first 9 seconds of this Four Nations Cup between Canada and the United States.
And honestly, I've said this before. I don't hate beefs. Fights do not bother me.
We talked about it last week. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm glad they're out there settling it.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier than what people do today, which is talk behind people's back, go online, post stuff under anonymously.
Yeah.
I mean,
get out there and handle your stuff in person. Yeah.
The opposite. I come from a generation where we played dodgeball and
a game you can't say anymore.
Smear the
yes.
That one. Yeah, I mean, smear the whatever. We can do almost anything, but you can't say a word. That one, which is basically tackle the man with the football. If you have the football, we started with Red Rover, which is basically lock arms with your friends, call out one of the morons on the other side and say, bring it. Come on over here. Get you a head start. Get you a running start at this line. I want you to line up 30 yards away, and I want you to run as fast as you can, because when you get here, there's going to be a clothesline with your name on it. That's the generation I grew up with. Those are the games I played. And if you weren't settling a beef behind the 7-Eleven and going back there and saying, you know what, let's just figure that. So I'm okay with the hockey guys. Unlike kids today that are uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with all that.
No one meets at the bike racks at 3:00 anymore.
No, are there even bike racks there? Everything's electric now. You guys, the tires are bigger. They don't even fit in the bike rack. So yeah, nobody. And listen, I'm not saying fighting is good. I'm just saying handling
violence
your business
is not the answer. However, sometimes
it's necessary. And
It's not the answer. It is a answer.
it's a answer. Yeah, it's something that, and frankly, I think it's a better answer than some of the things we go to. There are literally businesses that are built on being mean to other people under anonymous things online. That to me is the worst. That's like the worst thing, worst part of humanity. When I die, I'll look back and say, what was the worst? Well, the worst is obviously slavery, things I weren't around for, but
Sure.
slavery and racism, those type of things are unacceptable, horrible, horrible things. Next to that, it's basically being mean to fellow people, mean to people, a lot of times for no reason. Most of the people that are saying mean things have no idea what they're talking about, and they're not correct. I saw, the minute that, let's go back to the All-Star game. The minute that Chris Paul and Wembley cheated in the All-Star game, those of you who didn't watch the All-Star game, they have a skills challenge. 2 players from each team. San Antonio has Chris Paul and Wembley, and they decided they were going to hack the system. They were going to, did you see this, Brandon, at all?
I didn't see it in real time, but
Okay,
I
so
followed
let
the
me
story.
say they're going through. You got to throw bounce passes, you got to throw a chest pass, and you got to make some shots. You got to make a 2 3-pointers and a from the top of the key type thing. And excuse me, and Wembley and Chris Paul decided that it took you get to shoot the shots. You get 3 shots at each, and you get to shoot the shots until you make it. So to save time, you want to make the first one. That's the idea of the game. You shoot a 3-pointer. If you make it, you get to move to the next one, and then the next one, and then you move to the rest of it. It's a timed event. Wembley and Chris Paul decided that they were going to cheat the system. They were just going to go up and instead of shooting the shots, just throw the balls as fast as they could off the rack and then run to the next thing. Because in their mind, especially Wembley, making a 3-pointer out of 3 tries, 3 different times at different spots was going to take a lot longer. He wasn't probably going to make the first one, so just throw the balls and go to the next thing. They went, and I'm saying they because I want to get to my point, which they went to the officials and said, one of the 2 on the team went to the officials and asked them, can we do this? Is this going to be okay? And they got answers of yes. They were told by a number of NBA people, yeah, you can do that. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't. So they get up, they do this. The other teams are sitting there rolling their eyes, half partly because it is taking away from the integrity of the whatever, the skills idiot competition we're doing because instead of playing basketball. And they're also because they didn't think of it. Because it is quicker. Both of that. So everybody's kind of against it. They're booing, they're in Golden State, so people are booing, whatever. So they finish and a guy from the NBA comes up and says, you guys are disqualified. You can't do that. Even though they had been told immediately, and here's my point. I happen to be online. I go online. Everybody online is saying, this is what Wembley gets for hanging out with Chris Paul. Chris Paul.
I mean, I was thinking it. That guy knows the rules in and out. He tries to skirt them all the time.
And he's being lit up online.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, and we got this from Draymond Green, who said in a press conference right after, and it's been confirmed, Wembley came up with the idea. Wembley went around to all the NBA people and asked. He told Chris Paul, this is what we're going to do. Chris Paul shrugged his shoulders. I've been in 9,000 All-Star games. I don't care at all.
I'm still getting paid. I don't care.
You
want to
throw the ball at the windmill? We'll throw it at the windmill. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. So, but the point is that everybody immediately goes to which is that they were all incorrect. Some of these are outlets that are respected. Some of them are just idiots sitting in their mom's basement. They all say a bunch of stuff, throwing Chris Paul under the bus. And guess how many came out after that and said, you know what? I want to retract what I said earlier about Chris Paul. Our bad. I assumed that you were the jerk in this whole thing, dragging the young man behind the station to give him some candy. That type of we're just rather this innocent 9-foot kid into our world of deceit and disruption of the rules of the game. But none of that was true. Chris Paul didn't care. Wembley's the one doing it. Nobody apologized for it. That to me is the worst. So hockey guys out there beating the crap out of each other 9 seconds into an All-Star game that does not matter under the umbrella of pride and country and some old men that are now sitting at the bar screaming about the All-Star game. I'm fine with that. All-Star weekend is one of those things, Brandon, that it's like literally like going to Elko, Nevada. I like going to Elko and I like leaving Elko. You ever been to Elko, Nevada?
I have not.
Don't.
I've never.
They used to have junkets there from Oklahoma where you could go for like $325. They gave you some match play chips, and it was
like an all-inclusive type deal where it was airfare, hotel, all that.
Everything for it shows how old I am. You could go. They had them to Biloxi, Mississippi, and to Elko, Nevada. I forget who ran it, but anyway, it was a junket. So you just get on the plane with everybody else. You had to actually show money on the plane. So you get on the plane, it's like $325. Then they walk down the row you had to show them. I want to say $300 cash or 500 cash,
Per person?
per person. So I guess they
Okay.
would know that you're not just getting on the plane and
You're not just taking the quote unquote free trip or the discounted trip. You're
yeah.
actually going to go and play.
It's one of the things that I did during my life that I immediately knew what the term "you get what you pay for" is.
Mm.
Because you get on a $325 flight that includes your hotel, includes airfare, includes some match play chips, and I think it even got you a meal or two for $325, and you're flying to the state of Nevada. You can imagine what that is. Staying
Yeah,
at the
I mean,
Red Lion.
there were a bunch of those. There were a bunch of those when I started. Right after I turned 21, that was on. I want to say it was Allegiant had like discounted flights. You could fly to Vegas for $69, and they could get you like 3 nights hotel for like an extra $169.
Yeah,
We didn't have to show cash, but
you stayed at the Red Lion Inn in Elko, Nevada. The Red Lion Inn. Yeah. Anyway, so that how far has gambling come in just that amount of time? I'm not 1,000. So I was over 21. So in the last 25, 30 years, the climate of gambling in general. I mean, now you can basically gamble in every state just about, other than just a handful, and you can sports gamble in almost every state. So if you're doing that, go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up. Weekend package available, weekend soccer package available. So even if you're on one or the other, get that soccer package this weekend. Get it early in the week. Hopefully you're listening to the podcast of the show, because there'll be plays on Wednesday. So we'll have soccer Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Maybe Monday. It just depends. We didn't have it this last Monday, but maybe we'll have it this Monday. Guys will tell me, those of you who are new, don't handicap the soccer myself. Don't handicap baseball myself. Don't handicap UFC myself. I stick to what I know. Basketball, football. Very, very good at those two sports. I have experts in the other sports. UFC guy bought himself another week with a winning week. He needs to string 4 or 5 of those together over the next month or so. I'm running a special deal on the UFC, though. If he loses, sign up for the day. Don't sign up for the month. Sign up for the day. There's UFC pay-per-view over the next month or so, or more. Sign up. It's $100 for UFC for Saturday. You win, or I give you the next month for free. All right, not just 2 weeks. This is a punishment and a reward. Because if you don't win consistently, I'm going to give your picks away, basically, if I'm not handicapping them. Because that's what I do with mine. If I go out and during football season, I run off a bad week or two, I give picks for weeks at a time to get people back on board, because I want you to win long term. UFC guy needs to be betting enough on his plays that he is making all that money up, and he doesn't care about the service fee, just like I asked the soccer guy and the baseball guys to do during the course of the year. So go to fatjacksports.com. This weekend only, if you sign up for the football season through the 26th Super Bowl, or football and basketball, or all the other sports with soccer and with player props and UFC or any of those, you are going to get baseball for free. I've added that back for the weekend, so there's going to be these little specials right before I raise the rate again, because rates are going up. By the time you get to baseball season, you're going to be paying, even if you get it free, quote unquote, you're going to be paying so much more. It's like paying for baseball. So don't do that. Sign up now. You get to pay it out over the next 6 months or so. It gets you in the system now. March Madness is around the corner. Conference tournaments around the corner. Time to get signed up at fatjacksports.com. How are we doing on time? Because I do want to, we're going to turn the page when we do, now or after the break. And we're going to talk about kind of some of the challenges in making money betting on basketball. And part of that is the win-loss against the spread record that these teams have. And we're going to talk about some of the more popular teams in the country, how they're doing against the spread, look ahead at some of the conference tournaments on who might win those, and much more. So you want to do that now, or you want to take a break?
Let's get a break in, because I feel like that's going to garner some interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of deep dive. As we head to All-Star break's always a time to kind of reset, recalibrate, and take a deep breath on what are we going to do different going forward, if anything, sometimes nothing, versus what we've been doing in the past. So you look at some of these numbers and you say, all right, how can I make these numbers work for me? It is an evolving theme with sports gambling. If you're doing the same thing with every sport, with every time of the year, you're losing money. That's why experience is such a big deal, and why guys now everybody wants to be a handicapper. Everybody wants to be good at this. And what the reality, they're not good. They're streaky at best. And because I know that because they're young. I've forgotten more about sports gambling and sports handicapping than I knew when I was 24, 25 years old. Some guy's 25 years old gets on TikTok or whatever and says, I'm the greatest handicapper in the planet. Blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. You're not anything. You're 25. You don't know anything.
You don't
And
know what you don't know yet.
you don't even know what you don't know. Unfortunately, you can't replace that. Well, part of that is that what works for you in September in football won't directly work for you in February in basketball. And those are things you learn over time, which I've learned and I pass along to my clients at fatjacksports.com. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. Come back, talk about some of these against the spread numbers in college and the NBA, how we can kind of take advantage of that as we head the second half of the season of the NBA schedule, and get deeper into profit before we hit the conference tournaments coming up in college basketball.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And now here is our host, hitting the hardwood this month. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Get you ready for the weekend. Big weekend. Obviously, NBA back in full. Everything's going this weekend other than football, so prop bets. So you get UFC going with pay-per-view on Saturday. You get, or a card on Saturday. You get soccer all weekend long. You get basketball and college and the NBA all week long. Pitchers and catchers have reported. I'm going to send out season win totals. It'll be about a month. So once we get knee deep into
spring training and all that,
I'll send out season win totals, which have done pretty well over the last few years. I won't, but my guys will. And they're going to win. A lot of those are win totals going over under. A lot of those we cash in May, June. White Sox under has been the easiest money in the world. I mean, they're mathematically eliminated from going over their win total literally like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Sometime before June.
Before the 4th of July, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's nice to have those in the bank as you're heading into summer. So all those are going to be free if you sign up this weekend through the Super Bowl. So go for football, basketball, or add those other sports. They're very inexpensive right now. And they get you, do the math, divide out what you're paying versus how many weeks there are between now and the 2026 Super Bowl, and see what a great value that is. I mean, that's incredible value when you're talking about turning profit. 9 out of every 10 weeks in soccer, and 4 out of every 5 in football, and 4 out of every 5 in basketball. Those type numbers for what you're paying are very, very profitable, very, very good deals. So especially this time of year, and you can pay out the service fee over 6 months or so. We were talking off the air, Brandon, they're always bringing on new states that are adding sports gambling. And
39 across the country right now, including in
exactly. And one of the things, and Missouri's coming up. Missouri here, but somewhere between the summer and I already have people from Missouri that are wanting to get signed up. And somewhere between summer and start of football season, they're going to be adding sports gambling in Missouri. And something we don't talk about a lot are the different ways that you can bet on sports in the different states that are around the country. This thing runs all over. So if you're in one of the few, I don't want to call them bonus states, but one of the states around there that doesn't have it, because that's what you are. California, right. Oklahoma, Texas.
That's great. Utah.
Hawaii, Georgia, Alabama. I'm not going to repeat it. You know what I'm getting at. If you're not one of those, you have options in most of these states. Now, you don't in Florida, you have one option. You don't in New Mexico, you have one. But most of the other states, you have multiple options. There are ways to take advantage, and we talk about these prop bets and these futures and these different things. You have a nice little way that you've been taking advantage of some of these things. Tell everybody out there, because if you're out there in Kansas, you're one of these states, apply this. This is free money that Brandon's taking advantage of. And there's a lot of people that do, but make it a little bit of a job. It's free money in your pocket. Go ahead.
So every sports book that has an app is obviously trying to encourage players to come to play their app. So they'll offer deposit bonuses and things of that sort. There is one app that is available to me here in Kentucky that I haven't played with a lot, mainly because I don't really like the interface of the app. It's kind of clunky. It's slow at times. You can't search when I have to try and find University of Wisconsin at Green Bay to place a bet on them. It's hard to find in the app. So I kind of just throw them on the back burner, get an email when we get back from Vegas. They say, hey, we'll give you a deposit bonus for X amount of money. It was a 25% deposit bonus up to $100. So basically all I was saying was, hey, give us $400. We'll give you $100 in free bets. I mean, it's free money. Why would you not?
And they didn't say you had to play through it or anything. A lot of times they'll have fine print where you have to play, you have to deposit it, and then you have to play it X amount of times. With my clients, that's not a problem, but they didn't even have that. So it's basically deposit it, we'll give you free money.
Yep, and I did exactly that. I went in, deposited $400, got my $100 in free bets. So then they gave me $5 $20 free bets to use on any market. I could have put them on parlays. I could have done anything. I decided to go ahead and take 5 shots at NCAA tournament champions basically for free, because as soon as those bets were placed, there was no requirement to play through them to get those free bets. Cashed out my $400, and now I have 5 shots at the NCAA championship.
So 400 in, 400 out. You got 5 bets, 5 sweats. And I think we don't talk about this, but I think that's a great way to spend that money. Don't be that instant gratification guy. Definitely don't try to hit a home run with it. Don't play parlays. We've talked about what I think about parlays, and the math is bad. Don't do that. That's just throwing the money away. There's no reason to do that. A long-term sweat is the way to do it. And how long did it take you total to do that, to deposit the $400 to bet the stuff and then pull it back out?
Mainly because I knew what I was going to do when I saw the email. 8 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe.
So it takes you an hour. You make $100 an hour to basically just
minimum. That's if none of those bets hit, really.
Exactly. And you're taking advantage of what these companies are doing to get players into their system. And so, and by the way, that is going to, if you're in a new state, if you're in Kansas, look for something in Missouri when you're over there. You don't have to be a resident a lot of times in these states. You just have to open the app in the state, right?
And there are going to be apps that are available in neighboring states. Like I'm in Kentucky, there's only 7 or 8. In Indiana, there's 11. So if I just literally drive across town, go over the bridge into Indiana, I have three or four other apps that are available to me that have different sign up offers, different play offers, deposit offers, things of that sort.
So it's a nice little hobby, a little fundraiser. I do something that's really stupid, and then we're going to talk about these win totals, but it's not stupid, but it sounds stupid. So I'll literally have, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000 bet on football games on a normal Saturday. You know what I do when I'm in Vegas at a normal Saturday? I call it the free money game. So I walk around the casino. The Wynn is my favorite, but I walk around the casino as I've got 50 or 60K worth of games going. And I walk around the slot machines, and I see most of the casinos have policies where when you leave a credit in the slot machine for whatever reason, they can't take it. So what they do is they press cash out, they take the ticket and leave it on the slot machine.
Sometimes it's 38 cents. Sometimes it's $1.12.
Yeah, it's rarely over $1. Those are rushes. I mean, when I get one over $1, that's a rush.
When you know you're onto something.
That you're onto something because you're already cashing $1. So I will walk around when I'm killing time, not just sitting there watching the games. And I'll go, and when I get to $1, I call it the free money game. And so I go to the bathroom. I'll take the long way through the slot. So my point is that it doesn't matter what you're betting. Free money is free money. So you might as well take advantage of these things. And if you're in Kansas City, Missouri's getting ready to open up sports betting. I saw the business reports for some of the companies. They're publicly traded, so they have profit and loss sayings,
disclosures that they have to put out, not only because they're publicly traded, but because the gaming commissions often put out those numbers too.
I think it was DraftKings that said, depending on, because Missouri's still trying to figure out when they're going to roll it out, somewhere between June and September, they'll have it out by football season in the state of Missouri. But they were basically saying our promotional dollars will be double or triple if they roll it out in August to the first part of September than what we'll be throwing at the new people in Missouri if they roll it out in June. Translation, there's going to be a lot of free money. Those promotional dollars for years in these sports books, they all lost money. And they lost money because it was all about customer acquisition. So take advantage of that. If you're not taking advantage of customer acquisition and these companies that you're going to bet with are throwing money out there, you're just leaving money on the table. So just a little side note to get people going. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. The best rates of the entire year that are left. You should have signed up in December. If you didn't, you're paying more now. But you're not paying anywhere near what you're going to pay if you wait until August or September. Because rates go up as we get closer to football season. And why do I do that? Why you do that, Jack? Why are you punishing people for waiting? I'm not punishing you. I want to incentivize you to get the plays now, pay out the service fee now, to get free plays now to build profit, because your overall gambling between now and next year's Super Bowl will be more successful if you're getting free plays now that are going to make you money. So that's why I don't want you to miss out on these things, because you building money is going to make you more profitable gambler, which is going to make you a happier gambler, which is going to give me less headaches. It's all goes back to a selfish want and need to not get an email from you the first
Mhm.
time I get a bad beat the second week or third week of September because you lost on your own to the first part of the season and you are at a must win at that point in the year. I try to avoid that. The guys that sign up now will not do that. If you sign up now, you will never get have the instinct in August or September or October to email me with something stupid because you'll be deep into profit. You will understand the system and you'll be a winning gambler. That's what I'm trying to do. So go to fatjacksports.com and get signed up. As we turn into the second part of the season, Brandon, against the spread rankings, any idea who the best team against the spread is in college basketball? I would give you, we don't have time for, I'd give you 50 guesses. I'm not sure you'd get it.
Right. Best team against the spread in college basketball. The fact that you said I wouldn't get it right off the bat makes me think it's probably not even a major conference.
I
So
don't
I'm
even,
going to
I
go.
could give you, I could say of the top 7 teams, I could give you 50 guesses. I'm not sure you get any of them.
Wichita State.
No, I wish it was Wichita State. That would make lots of sense. The only one that I think you might get at some point off your 50 guesses is California, San Diego. UC San Diego.
San Diego, yeah.
They are covering 79.2% of the time. They're 19-5 against the spread.
Goodness.
After them, these get hot. How about Robert Morris, Florida A&M, San Jose State? You might have stumbled onto them at some point in your top 50 guesses. Central Connecticut, Southeast Louisiana, Alcorn State.
So I was right. None of these are power conferences. Some of these aren't even mid-majors.
Coincidentally or not, it's because there's fewer money bet on these games. People will complain when I send out Wagner or I send out California Baptist. All right,
it's the one is when you get deep cuts is when you get the mastodons of Purdue Fort Wayne.
You know how much money I've made in my life over Purdue Fort Wayne? I mean, I could buy a new Tesla with the amount of money I've made with Purdue Fort Wayne. It's silly. It's stupid, and you have to write it all out because people don't know what to do with that. My point is that the teams with nobody betting on, the first team, the most successful team that people would know is next after Alcorn State. It's the team you talked about last week, Florida, 18-7, covering 72% of the time, as we talked about last week on the show. You talked about flying under the radar, not being looked at in a conference that's full of great teams. Kind of a late arrival to the party. It's literally the girl that went home after freshman year, got super hot, came back to the sophomore year dance. Everybody's like, what happened there? She's hot, but she hasn't been hot forever. So Florida, you're still getting a little value. After that, it gets dumb again. VMI, Houston Christian, Yale, Dartmouth, Liberty, Oregon State, Wisconsin. The next after that, Oregon State, Wisconsin. Oregon State 18-8, Wisconsin 17-8. Well, you get down, I'll tell you, one thing that's interesting, Auburn is still profitable. Auburn is 62.5% of the time against the spread that they're covering. They're 15-9-1.
Which for the number one team in the country playing the conference that they play in is astronomical.
It's pretty good. You can read through the lines a little bit that they are better. That's why they're number one or why they're up there. And why, if you want to look at somebody that you should be looking at betting in the big tournament. We always talk about making too much out of these numbers now versus waiting until later, and I don't want to do that.
There's still a month to play, yeah.
Still a month to play. They may run off an 0-10 against the spread, and we'll look at that as we head into the tournaments. But these type things are important because you can kind of see these teams are expected to do well. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Auburn scores a ton of points, leading the country in points scored, that they're able to run away and hide from people with their amount of offensive efficiency. Even when they take a night off defensively, they still might cover depending on how they're shooting it. After that, you get down to more teams nobody's heard of. But it's not a coincidence, guys, that if you're betting on basketball and you're playing just the team, and North Carolina and Kentucky.
The teams that are on TV every night, yeah.
You're losing money. Because when we get down to those type teams, Duke 15-10, so they're hitting 60%. Congratulations. But even that, Brandon, it's only 4 games over. So how many wrong teams, if you like to bet on the better teams, how many teams that aren't doing well do you have to pick to eat up that 4 games of profit pretty quick? Tennessee 15-11, so they're up 4 games. Syracuse 14-11. So they're hitting 56%. After that, we're getting down to some teams that people like to bet on, and these teams are not into profit. So we get down to teams like, even money of teams are going to be like Ryder, Pacific, San Diego, teams nobody's heard of. So you steer away from them. Wake Forest losing money. Pittsburgh losing money. Virginia. Everybody used to love to play Virginia. They're 12-13 against the spread, not playing near the defense they did under the previous coach. Memphis, 12-14. SU, 11-13 against the spread. I mean, I can go on and on. Tulsa, 11-13. You get down toward the bottom. This is against the spread numbers, those you just tuned in. Against the spread numbers in college basketball to this point in the season. But you get down to some of these teams that are 6, 7, 8 games, 10 games under 500. Arkansas, Miami, teams that had lots of expectations early in the year.
And are probably going to make the tournament, and they're winning games, just not against the spread.
Yeah, Miami's not making the tournament, but you're right. I mean, there will be teams in the SEC that are bad against the spread that are making it. Well, do they turn it around? Maybe. Baylor's another 9-14 against the spread. Oklahoma State, 10-15 against the spread. I'll find Oklahoma for those of you listening, Oklahoma, but trust me, you don't want them to legalize sports gambling right now because you would have lost a ton in football, and now you're losing. You're 11-14 in basketball.
And especially after Oklahoma won that tournament down in the Bahamas, I mean, there was some push. They were a top 25 team, and now they can't throw it in the ocean.
They're not talking about firing their head coach. I mean, they've got big problems. I mean, the way they're losing. I mean, they lost LSU last Saturday, which was one of the games through the remaining schedule of the conference that they were supposed to win. They look lost at times. Frankly, defensively, they're not showing up on the defensive end at all. That's the one thing you can kind of tell what a team is when they're struggling offensively, when they're not scoring, is how much effort you're getting at the other end. That is something you look at the head coach and you're like, listen, I understand you cannot shoot layups for your guys, but you cannot sit here and consistently not play defense too and get blown out by teams you're supposed to beat and then tell us that you've got the locker room and that things are going well. That is a problem that's internal, and Oklahoma better figure that out or they may lose their head coach. So an interesting year. You're right. Early in the year, they were ranked in the top, 10, 15 in the country. Now they cannot win a game, and a team that we should be taking advantage of betting against, I'm afraid, because it's hard to get that locker room back at this point once you're losing those type of games. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. $99 for Saturday, Sunday if you're just wanting basketball. You should not do that, though. You should definitely get the soccer. You should definitely get the UFC that won again last week, or more importantly, get those longer packages. You'll pay a lot less than $99.
Say bet the games and then go around and check slots.
Check slots, give you something to do. That's right.
And I'm sure it's easy to do. I say this, but like there are people who like don't quote unquote don't like watching soccer. Well, I don't like watching football sometimes just because it's bad football. But if I have a vested interest in the game, I might take a look at it. There are many games, especially in basketball season, that I'll bet I won't see a minute of the game. You don't have to watch the game just because you're betting on it.
We talked last week, Brandon. I don't like watching soccer. I like it more now because we're making money, but it's not like I'm seeking out soccer. If I don't have money bet on soccer, I'm not watching soccer. We went to dinner.
You're not turning on a La Liga game just for the heck of it because it's on a Monday afternoon. If you don't have a penny on it, I will. But
I went to in Florida, and I went to a Mexican food. Karen and I went to a Mexican food place and went and sat down, get the chips and sauce. And she says, I didn't realize there's soccer on right over this, because Karen is great and my family actually knows that if there's a TV on in a restaurant and it has sports on it, I want to sit to one facing the TV, and my family's just been trained since they were literally born. My kids, it's so funny, Brandon. They're adult children. My daughter's 22. My son's 25, 26. Both make a lot of money, do very well. When we go to a restaurant, the four of us, they will literally stand there and wait on me to sit down before they sit down, like I'm some type of imperial king from the Middle East. I mean, it's so and what all it is it's two things. It used to be that I was too fat to fit in some of the booths and some of the things, so they would wait for me to figure out where I could sit.
Where you were going, so they could situate around you, sure.
So they could situate around me. And then it turned into, after I got a little bit thinner, could fit in most of the booth, it's Dad wants to watch the soccer. He's paying, or he wants to watch whatever. If there's football, basketball, we let him find that seat. And you'll see them, they'll kind of get their head on a swivel. We'll walk in the restaurant, and they'll be looking at
Well, Jason Bourne that thing, as soon as they walk in, they're like, they know where the threats are, they know where the exits are. They're like, all right, where's the TVs? Where's the fat seat?
And for my kids, yeah, that's right. And for my kids, they want to know where's the second best seat, where they want to end up. So they're doing the math in their head. It's literally funny to watch us go sit down at a restaurant. Well, even with the kids gone, we go Sunday, and Karen, we walk in, and we sit down. Karen's not paying attention because it's just her and I now. It's not as big a deal. And she's, oh, I'm sorry, I saw their soccer on. Do you want to switch over? I said, honey, no, I don't. I'm not watching soccer. If I would watch soccer, we'd be someplace else. So it's just funny that people act like they should want to care about soccer to bet on soccer. It has nothing to do with it. It's about building profit. Brandon, if they weren't making money, I would not be saying the word soccer on the radio at all.
Wouldn't even be offering it. Yeah.
If I had agreed to offer it, if they go through 2 weeks in a row and lose, which they haven't, literally since they've done this,
Since we started in June.
they haven't lost 2 weeks in a row. If they do, you won't hear me say the word soccer the next week on the show, ever. I'm not going to solicit or to offer you something. You're not hearing me talk about UFC right now. You're not hearing me talk a lot about baseball right now because it's not going on. But I'm talking about something that is making guys a ton of money. So go get signed up. $200 for the weekend for that. FatJackSports.com.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week. Get free winners and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Get you ready for the weekend. Get you ready for the year. Get you ready for summer. Spring is around the corner. Spring is almost sprung. Next week is March, Brandon. You're ready for March, I guess.
I mean, March brings March Madness, but it also brings spring training, which brings the opening day of baseball. So yeah, March is a fun month. February, really, outside of the Super Bowl, doesn't offer much for me. So I'm ready to get it behind me.
Yeah, ready to get to March. This spring will spring. We'll get better weather around the country. People will be a little happier about that. Grass will come out. Get green grass, those type things. So go
Unless you have a grass allergy, then that's a problem.
Yeah, everybody's got something, I guess. I mean, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there will be some allergies, but at least people will not be inside stuck in the cold waiting on the ice to melt. So FatJackSports.com. Before we get to those conference tournaments, get in the system. Player prices will go up, especially for basketball. We talk about if you sign up in like November, October, November, you basically get March Madness for free when you sign up long term. You're getting all March for free, all of April for free. When you sign up now, you're basically getting from the end of March Madness through the NBA Finals for almost free. It's $200 for basically 2.5 months. So basically $20 a week for in the NBA playoffs, the NBA season. You get the bases for free as long as you're signing up now for that. So planning ahead saves you a bunch of money. But trust me on this: when we get to March, which will be next week, prices to get, if you want to make money during March Madness, during the tournament, you will pay more than you do if you sign up today. Always planning ahead is better. If you sign up for everything through the Super Bowl next year, you're getting all this for free versus waiting until August or September to sign up for the exact same package. So don't wait. Get signed up, pay out the service fee if you need to, up to 6 months. Packages are all listed on the website. Last week I ran a 20% off coupon. I'll go ahead and do that this weekend too. Enter March. MARCH, 20% off season packages this weekend only. So
not a weekend package, not getting this weekend soccer on a discount. Season long package.
And if you do that, I'm going to refund it. I'm not going to give you the pick. So don't do that. You're just causing yourself and me extra work. So, but get through at least the Super Bowl, and you're going to save $400 at least off the already reduced rate by entering March as your coupon code. This weekend only, saving 20% on season packages through. If you sign up, get everything through the next year's Super Bowl or 2026 NBA Finals or so, you're saving about $800 off the already lower rate. So
that's great. 8 games of profit right there if you're a $100 a game football player.
And you're getting everything through that time of year next year for about $40 a week or less. I mean, it's very, very profitable packages you're not paying much for because you planned ahead. We talk about making good decisions now that will affect you later on that we could cash out later. This is one of those. This may be the most important. Quickly, NBA. You know what, Brandon? Let's hold off till next week to do this.
Okay.
Because I want to get into this a little bit more. I'll give you the top 3. Cleveland, Memphis, Oklahoma City, all hitting over 62% of their games.
Which is surprising because they are 3 of the top, 6 teams in the league?
Yeah, but they're also teams that weren't, the expectations, although high, were not as high as they outperformed what they were supposed to do so far.
Markets haven't quite caught up to them on a nightly basis.
Yet. And then next week, we're going to talk about whether we can take advantage of that or whether the markets will catch up, because that is one of those things that you know as a 54-year-old handicapper that you don't know as a 22-year-old handicapper. It's how long can you ride this outperforming expectations with some of these NBA teams as we head into February, March. It's not a coincidence that we make money every single April and May, every year. We make a lot of money in the NBA. It's because I know how to apply things then that most people don't know how to apply to guarantee us finishing the season in a profit. March
And
Madness.
like you said earlier, Jack, you can't apply the same processes that you did in September, October, November because it's not the same game as it is in March, April, May.
And the line is what you have to factor in, and you can't factor the line's moving. The line is being created by people that are taking in data that they've been receiving all year long. So the same line today, we talk about look ahead lines and lines, what this game would be if we played this game in October, totally different than what we're doing now. So because those lines are being adjusted and being set differently, you have to adjust your handicapping. And if you're not, you're losing. It's that simple. So FatJackSports.com will get you on the right side of these games, get you on a long-term package that'll make you money all year long. Any final thoughts, Brandon?
Just very excited for everything to be back in full swing. We get the NHL back. We get the NBA back from All-Star Week. And like you said, soccer keeps going, and it's getting into really entertaining times to be watching and betting on the games.
I'm excited to branch out from the English Premier League. I've gotten super greedy. I mean, we've been doing English Premier League almost exclusively, but over the next couple months, and certainly as we get May, June, July, we're going to be in other leagues, I guess, which I'm excited to see that because I have not watched 1 second other than at the Mexican food place that was forced upon me at dinner and lunch, any soccer in any of the other leagues. So I'm excited to see some of that. So, guys, wager responsibly this weekend. Get signed up at FatJackSports.com. Don't drink and drive. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself until next week. For Brandon and the Fat Jack, this has been Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.